Welcome back, guys. Welcome to part 2 of the Scared Straight series. Watch part 1 if you haven't already, and yeah, let's get into it. We left off at me being awoken by these trumpets. Now, they were the military trumpets, like in the movie. You know what I mean. So yeah. And I was also awoken by one of the camp counselors yelling at me because I was still trying to get my shoe on because I could not find it for some reason. I was looking all around in my tent, in like my tiny one-person tent, and I just could not find it. So it took me a second to get out, but eventually I ended up getting out while getting yelled at by one of the drill sergeant army guys. And next, the drill sergeant people, they're all like, okay, everybody start exercising, start doing jumping jacks and push-ups, and this was absolutely miserable for me because I had just woken up, I needed to go to the bathroom, I needed to eat, and the ground was wet and the ground was cold, so I just did not want to be exercising. And after we were done exercising, they're like, okay, everybody, it's time to go to the bathroom. So we were walking over to the bathroom. The bathroom was a little ways, little porta potty. It wasn't even a porta potty. It was like made of wood, and it was just a bucket. It was just this little outhouse. It was just absolutely terrible. But while we were walking over there, I see the breakfast area where we were about to have breakfast, and I see this cereal. Now, I don't remember what brand it was, but it was one of the major brands, so I got excited. But after I had gotten back from the bathroom and sat down, I realized it was All Brand. And if you didn't know what that was, it's basically just fiber, like this wheat fiber cereal. And it's just really disgusting looking. It looks like chicken food or something you would give to pigs, like farm animal food or something, because it just did not look like something that humans should consume. But yeah, it was just terrible, and it gets worse. So I drink my powdered milk. That I was okay with. I was like, okay. But the cereal, the All Brand, whatever the heck it is, that stuff, oh my gosh, that was the worst thing ever. And the main camp counselor guy, he was the scariest guy, but he's walking around and he notices that I did not eat it. So he goes up to me and everybody's silent. We weren't allowed to talk to each other. We were all sitting there silent. We didn't even know each other. The other kids there, we didn't talk to each other. So it was really awkward and quiet, everything that happened. So in the middle of this cafeteria, it wasn't a cafeteria, it was basically like this big tent and like some picnic tables, and we were all sitting at these picnic tables under this tent, and this guy's just yelling at me about eating cereal. And the scariest part was when he sat down next to me and he started eating spoonfuls of the All Brand like it was nothing, just like these big spoonfuls, and he was going all like crazy and yelling while he was doing it. His face got all red, and he was spilling milk all over himself, and cereal was falling on the ground and all over the table and his shirt. It was just a mess, and everybody was just looking at him like he was crazy. Basically, breakfast ends, and we all go to the bathroom again, and after we go to the bathroom, I am the one who has to empty out the pee bucket with shit and piss in it. And I had carried this bucket quite a ways, and in the process, I ended up spilling some on my jumpsuit. And that really sucked because I ended up smelling really bad for like the rest of the day. And the next thing we did was get on the school bus, and the school bus took us to this gun range that I guess was on the property of where the prison was, because it was a pretty big property. So everybody gets off of the bus, I get off of the bus, and I realize that we're at this shooting range, and I'm like, oh cool, we get to watch police shoot and have some lesson taught to us. But no, that's not what happened. We all get there, and we're told that we have to pick up bullet casings. Now, that might not sound like a big deal, but there was thousands and thousands of them on the floor, in the ground, and like embedded in the dirt. So we had to like get on our hands and knees for like the whole entire day and pick through the dirt and the grass and pick up these bullet casings. And it got really stressful after about an hour and a half because you aren't just like picking them up and putting them in your bag. You're like having to move your feet and like sweep the ground with your feet. But a lot of times that wasn't effective, so you had to actually like get on your hands and knees and actually like pick in the grass and the dirt and find these bullet casings. And this went on for a good 3.5 hours. And eventually lunch starts, and we're having some peanut butter sandwiches. We sit over, I guess, at like the lunch area outside where like the shooting range is. I guess that's where like the police have their lunch. But anyway, we're sitting there, we're eating these peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and let me tell you guys, these sandwiches, they did not look good. They looked disgusting. They didn't even look like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. They looked like nastiness. And I just was not going to eat it. I just pushed it to the side and just watched everybody else eat it. And as I'm watching everybody, I'm seeing this thing go down, and it's one of the camp counselors yelling at this kid because he hid his sandwich, and they're like, where is it? Where is the sandwich? Because he did not want to eat it, and I did not blame him. But he had the sandwich in the hood of his hoodie, so that was that. And I guess this was the time that the camp counselors were walking around seeing who had eaten their sandwich and who hadn't. So they walk around and they get to me, and they realize that I hadn't eaten it. And the same drill sergeant guy as earlier comes up to me, and he starts yelling at me. He's like, you need to eat this sandwich, blah, blah, blah. And eventually I just ate it because I did not want to be dealing with the drill sergeant guys yelling at me anymore. So I had eaten it, and eventually lunch ends. And after lunch, they searched our jackets and our jumpsuits and our sleeves and our shoes and our socks for bullet casings because they made a big deal out of the point that this is police property. You know, they were talking about how, oh, these bullet casings are for the government. We made you collect these so we can recycle them and all that. So after we got searched, we got back on the school bus, and this time we were headed to the prison. This was it, guys. We were headed to the real part of the Scared Straight to talk to the prisoners. Not really talk, but just get yelled at. So yeah, we enter the prison, and it was kind of like TV when they first enter, where there's like a whole bunch of correctional officers, and they're yelling at you, and they're saying mean stuff, and all that, and they're kind of preparing you to go into the next room where the prisoners are at. So the correctional officers, they search us, and then we walk into this big room, and I guess it was unoccupied by the prisoners because it was just like metal beds. They didn't even have mattresses, but they were saying, oh, this is where you're going to be living. Look how small it is. And there's the shower area. Look how embarrassing it's going to be for you. You're going to have to be showering in front of like 30 different people. And the correctional officers talked on about that for a while, about how horrible it is being in prison. And the next thing they did was they separated the boys and the girls, and they took us to the real jail, the real deal, the real part of the Scared Straight program, the part that you see on TV. So they take us into this other building. They walk us for quite a while, and we go to this other building, and we walk through this long hallway, and then we get to this hallway, and that's where the prisoners are. And there was like lots and lots and lots of prisoners inside of this room, and there's like so many bunk beds. And they were all being really, really loud and rowdy. And then they saw us. And then they got even more loud and rowdy. And they were all saying stuff like, I look like you when I was your age. And it was really creepy because some of the prisoners, they were like kissing at us and flirting with us and being weird like that. So that was kind of uncomfortable. And next, the correctional officers took us into the cafeteria. And that's where there was like 4 or 5 prisoners there to talk to us. And at first, they were asking us what happened and why we were there. And I guess they were already told why we were there, because a lot of us were shy, so we didn't say why we were there. And the prisoners were like, okay, this is why you were here. I was kind of the last person that the prisoners yelled at. And it was scary, because they really singled me out. I was crying in the corner, and yeah, there wasn't much to it. They just yelled at me, and that was the day. And then we left, and that's where we're going to pick up in part 3. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, subscribe, and peace.